And even lawyers who are advising the person concerned is also called out for questioning and subsequently detained. We think that this is wrong in law. The use of this new law is said to be for terrorists, but it is apparent that it is clear that the government is using this law for all kinds of things, especially any criticisms of the government. So they are defining the word sabotage according to their own will, according to their own needs, without adhering to the purpose of the law. So we have therefore issued this statement with regard to the detention of Khairuddin and Chang. We think that the public should know about this because this is generally the concern of the public. Today, the public has been ignored. Any protests have been ignored by the government, and yet the government is not functioning according to the laws of the country, but beyond what is provided by the laws. So that is why we have come here to make a statement and also to show that we are against this abuse of the laws of this country and other activities of the government which are questionable, which have not been fully explained, and yet where a complaint is made about this, the complainant is arrested and charged and detained and is about to be charged under this new law.
Are you trying to say that SOSMA is worse than ISA?
Well, it is only for 29 days. The detention without trial and all, 29 days. But of course, they can then charge the person under SOSMA. And then, of course, one provision of SOSMA is that if you are trying to sabotage the government, bring down the government, you may be detained for the rest of your life. Asking the government to change or bringing down the government is a normal democratic process.
I come here to associate myself with this action taken by Tun and shared by everybody at this table, because we think it is worse than draconian, the action that has been taken, because it has denied the right of those concerned from having access to legal representation even. And we feel that we have gone over the era of ISA, and we're talking of being a developed status country, but then we don't seem to have matured, and we still go back to this third world kind of legislation whereby you can detain people without representation. And I think that is wrong. I think we have not developed sufficiently enough to become what we dream to be. And I think the government should reconsider this. And I have also come, not alone because Tone has kindly invited me to join in this demonstration to put our arguments forward on behalf of those people who are unfortunate, but also because a lot of people have been to see me making representation, in fact demanding that I should make representation to the government, because that is not the spirit in which SOSMA was brought to Parliament previously. And we were under the impression that SOSMA is much different from what ISA was, and there was a sign of relief when the ISA was repealed, and we thought it was a good action taken by the government. But when SOSMA interpreted in the way that it's being used, we feel that is definitely not right.
How do you see this press conference to be able to convince and pressure the government?
we see a climate of fear among people. People rather come to me, come to see to Rizali and others complaining, but they say there is no means for them to express their views. People who have evidence also say the same thing. If they tell the truth, then they will be subjected to all kinds of pressures, including detention, transfers, and things like that. It would seem that even when the rulers made a statement, this is actually ignored immediately. For example, instead of taking action that is needed, the AG simply dismisses the complaint made not by some funny individual, but by Bank Negara. And when Bank Negara appealed, it was dismissed. It looks as if the AG is the judge, and not only the prosecutor, he is also the judge. And he can dismiss something that is a report put up by Bank Negara. So people feel that there is no means for them to express their views anymore.
Are you prepared to face any legal action by the government for your...
Well, unless somebody speaks up, then the government will get away with doing all kinds of wrong things. I mean, as senior citizens, as people who are involved intimately with the politics of this country, we think that something should be done. Of course, the government may want to arrest, may want to do to arrest me under SOSMA is quite possible, because according to their interpretation of sabotage of government, anybody who says anything against the Prime Minister is about to topple the government. But toppling the government is a right of the people in a democracy. So they may take action against me or any one of us. But somebody has to take the risk to voice our disquiet, our anger, and our feeling of that the government is not looking after the interests of this country. Somebody must say. So we have taken it upon ourselves to say what will happen to us. Of course, is up to the government.
Apa sebenarnya dalam hati Tanri sekarang?
Saya yakin dengan apa yang disebutkan oleh Tun adalah suatu perkara yang benar. Saya berpegang pada prinsip keadilan, walaupun saya masih memegang jawatan dalam parti, tapi itu tidak menghalang saya untuk menunjukkan perasaan ataupun pandangan saya tentang hal-hal yang berlaku dalam negara. Lebih lagi kalau dia membabitkan soal kepentingan rakyat, soal kebebasan, soal hak, soal keadilan dan sebagainya.
Saya salah seorang Jama Menteri yang juga telah memutuskan Akta SOSMA, iaitu sebagai satu langkah untuk kita tahu kita repeal ISA dan tujuan dia spesifik, iaitu untuk memastikan supaya dalam langkah mengatasi dari segi teroris tindakan yang dilakukan, dan jaminan juga telah diberikan bukan hanya di kabinet, bahkan juga di peringkat parlimen, tentang dia tidak membabitkan mana-mana ahli politik dan parti politik. Jadi ini cukup jelas kepada kita. Jadi apa yang penting ialah kedaulatan undang-undang dan pelaksanaan dia, supaya jangan ada abuses dari segi penggunaan undang-undang yang ada. Kerana kalau itu berlaku, sehingga pada hari ini bayangkan seorang peguam yang mengikuti, Khairuddin juga telah ditahan. Dari segi undang-undang ada kebebasan, bukan hanya di peringkat perundangan negara kita, bahkan juga dari segi United Nations, resolution. There's a protection for lawyers to represent somebody, in the event if anything were to happen.
We are all agree that the government is abusing the law, and therefore the public must know about it, and government must respond to the feelings of the peoples of Malaysia regarding their abuse of the law.
How quickly do you think the government should respond?
Government should respond by releasing those people. Don't detain people under SOSMA, because that is not what SOSMA is all about. SOSMA is about terrorists. Do you think Matthias Chang or Khairuddin are terrorists? They merely reported some misdeeds to the government, and they reported also to the governments involved, foreign governments which are involved with money laundering. They just reported a crime, what they think is a crime. But for reporting that, you are arrested, questioned, and then detained. That is an abuse of power.
The problem we are facing today is with one man who is abusing his position as the Prime Minister of the country. What else could we do to remove him?
I think the only way left to us now is a vote of non-confidence in the leader itself. But of course, there are a lot of things that people in power can do to prevent people from stating their real views. Maybe they get something, maybe they are threatened, we don't know. But these things should be of concern to all members of parliament, because they are in a position to remove the Prime Minister for wrongdoings. And this is happening all over the world. In all democratic countries, when a leader has lost the confidence of the members of parliament, then he will have to step down. And it's provided in our constitution that if the Prime Minister has lost the support of the majority, then he shall step down. The country is going to the dogs. The economy is not doing well. They give $20 billion to this organization to boost up the share prices. All these things are artificial. If we see the currency going down and the share prices going down, and all the ministries have had their budget cut. Of course, they present a good budget, but later on they cut the budget. And because there is no money, we need to know what is the financial position of the government at this moment. We think it is very bad. But of course, when you ask the government, they can manipulate a lot of things. So we will not know.
But you can also refer to the action taken by the rulers of our country. They have got together to express their concern about what they are facing, what the people, their subjects, are also facing, and has expressed in very clear terms what their rakyat feel about the situation, and have urged the government to act expediently in order to resolve this matter. I think it can be resolved.
So you are saying we have to remove the PMs to resolve the problems that we are facing now?
You are saying that.
What about within UMNO itself? We have the UMNO Deputy President here, and UMNO as well as Vice President, and also UMNO elders are all here. Within UMNO, there's nothing else you can do?
Within UMNO? Well, I think there are a lot of people who have voiced the concern about the state of the nation. I think not only on leadership, on economy, on national unity, on race relations. I think many have expressed that as well. So there are serious issues which need to be addressed, because we don't want to see our country go down the drain. So I think the role of UMNO, as much as it's part of the government, there must be some voice that will sort of view this as important matters. It cannot be set aside, it cannot be just brushed aside as if because you're part of the government, these are not real issues. So if you're really seriously fighting and struggling for the interests of the nations, UMNO should play that role. So I think as much as we are part of that team, I think there must be some bodies or some individual or some parties within the party that would take this role to advise or to be playing a role of check and balance so that they will be seen to be fair. I think this is what UMNO is doing. But of course, whether those actions that were taken will be noted or action taken based on what we have advised, it's left entirely to the leadership to concern. Like in my case, of course, I have said many a times, even when I was still in the government, my views in the cabinet, which I expressed very lengthily on many issues. But of course, look what happened to me.
Well, I think the fact that I'm here with Tone, I appreciated the many initiatives that he's taken individually. He spent a lot of time, and I think it's time that relations to share the aspiration, to share the cause that Tone is fighting for must come forward. And I believe this is the right way forward, because if issues are so serious and nobody are concerned about it, there's something wrong with us. So I think not that I want to take up a bigger challenge. I know what my position is as far as party is concerned, but of course as a citizen, concerned citizen to what is happening in the country, I don't think that we should keep quiet. We are party to it. I don't think we are a minority. We are the majority. I've seen many people from all walks of life, even when I'm out of the government, who approach me to express their concern, to say that you have to move forward. But of course, I ask them, how do I move forward? So there's many things that we need to, but importantly, of course, this is not us here, who are just a few. I think the majority has to come up. And as the Tone has mentioned just now, we need to be seen to be rallying together for the cause of the nation, to save this nation from any issues and problems for the future. And the time is right now, and that's why I think I'm prepared to come up here with all of you, and I think we need to work together.
Saya ditemui oleh ramai pemimpin PNUMNO di semua peringkat yang saya tahu mereka juga ada perasaan, tapi kita tahulah dalam budaya UMNO ni ramai yang tidak bersedia untuk bersemuka atau menyuarakan pandangan secara terbuka atas sebab-sebab tertentu, mungkin takut dengan tindakan ataupun digugurkan atau dipecat dan lain-lain lagi. Bagi saya itu tidak seharusnya berlaku sekarang. Dalam mana keadaan negara berhadapan dengan situasi sebegini, masa sudah sampai untuk ahli UMNO tampil ke depan. Saya tidak kata menentang pemimpin dan sebagainya, menyuarakan isu-isu pokok dan jangan berdiam diri. Kalau itu berlaku, negara kita akan terus berhadapan dengan masalah yang lebih besar. Sebab itu saya kira ini masa yang sesuai untuk mereka tampil ke depan.
Just breaking news. This is breaking news. Khairuddin Abu Hassan dan Matias Chang didakwa di Mahkamah Magistrate KL tadi atas tuduhan cuba sabotaj sistem perbankan kewangan negara. Dia sabotaj sistem kewangan dan perbankan negara.
Why should MCAC be hanging in the Barisan Nasional when you are not really respected?
Thank you for your question, and perhaps if I may share some thoughts of mine with you and everybody here. Today I'm here not to represent MCA. That is the first position I would like to make it very clear. So far, by and large, I think the MCA grassroots, being part of the community, they have a lot of grouses, if not uneasiness over the situation of the country and also their future. But if you would ask me what is my view, of course, I may handle the situation differently as compared to what the current leaders are doing. And if need be, certainly we need to go for a referendum within the party or even within the community. Whether should we or should we not stay within the coalition?
Would you say that UMNO has lost its way over recent years, over recent months, that is not responding to what the public is voicing out?
Well, today news in the media is censored. People are not being told the truth. They have to depend upon the alternative media. And they have to depend upon some views, some demonstration carried out by the people. But the demonstration by Bersih, for example, is turned by the government into a racist movement. But Bersih was not racist. I was there. I'm not a racist. And there may be many Chinese there, but they are not asking for the overthrow of democracy. They are functioning within the rules of democracy. That if they have some grouses which are not taken care by the government, they have a right to demonstrate. But the government instead turned around and said, this is Chinese against Malays. A Chinese group trying to overthrow Malay government.
This Chinaman was at the demonstration.
Yeah, I was at the Chinaman there. It is obvious it is government which is racist. And then actually encouraging a demonstration by Malays against the Chinese. You know, the people who are like Ali Tinju and Jamal and all that, these people are rebel rousers. And they are given a lead role in the demonstration. The police could have stopped them, but I think the government wants to see so-called Malay power to fight against the Chinese. This is encouraging racist sentiments among the people.
I'm watching this whole thing with awe. I mean, the fact is, when anyone tries to topple the Prime Minister, that is regarded as sabotaging or something terroristic. But of course, if you regard toppling a Prime Minister as terroristic, then toppling the government is more terroristic. So you should be arresting all the oppositions who are out to topple the government. So with the oppositions, but it seems that toppling the government is not a crime, but toppling the Prime Minister is a crime. And now you hear this charge against Matias Chang and Dato' Khairuddin is ridiculous.
Tun pernah kodebatkan tak puas hati dengan pemerintahan Pak Lah. Mungkin kali ini Tun akan melakukan perkara yang sama?
Ya, saya tahan masuk oleh Pak Lah lagi. Saya masuk dia dalam tahanan. Yang bagi Pak Lah jatuh Datuk Seri Najib. Pak Lah was duly elected democratically. Tapi Najib persuade dia suruh letak jawatan. Kalau boleh kita persuade Najib, tak ada masalah. Tapi Najib tak mau letak jawatan. Pak Lah letak jawatan.
What do you think of the opposition pact now? They are opening their doors to anyone. What else? Will you reach across? Will you reach across? I mean, what do you think of the opposition pact now?
Opposition pact?
Yeah.
With whom?
The opposition right now with the new Harapan, and they're saying there are doors open for anyone that are keen, both sides of the aisle, to join.
I don't want to talk about the opposition pact. I know they have got their own problem as well. We don't have to elaborate on that. But I was saying about what UMNO can do. Of course, UMNO is part of the Barisan Nasional. What BN can do as a whole. And don't forget, because they are the other party which are also constitute the component of Barisan Nasional. They have the role to do. They can say it out, and of course they can speak up even in Parliament or even in their respective assemblies and what the issues are and how do they address those issues. And of course, be more forthright in telling the Prime Minister things of their concern. I don't think we want to be feeling hopeless about the situation. I want to feel that there is some hope. But that hope will come, I mean, sooner or later, if people are willing to speak up louder.
I have a slightly different view from Tan Sri Muhyiddin. I think the party system has failed. And I think we should evolve a new system whereby the people will have representation, proper representation. And through that system, I think the people's voices will be heard more than the party voices. Now it seems to be dominated by leadership or the leaders of the party rather than the voices of the people at the grassroots level or the people who are supporting the party. So there's a big difference here, and because of that I think it has failed. That's why we can move ideas forward now. It seems that the ideas are coming from upstairs down rather than downstairs upwards.
There are views that the party and the government has been hijacked by a small group of people with lots of money.
Yeah.
Are we in a crisis now? Is this nation in a crisis?
Well, the Datuk Sri Najib explained that the $2.16 billion is to help UMNO win the election. We don't need 2.6 billion to win the election. That is my experience at least. At the most, we pay for nasi lemak, cigarette, and some bottled water. That's all. It doesn't cost 2.6 billion. But you have so much money, how are you going to use the money to win election if it is not by giving money to people? That is bribery. So already we see a deviation from democratic practices, the usage of money to influence people, and that is corruption. The government is admitting, Datuk Sri Najib is admitting that he wants to use $2.6 billion to win the next election.
Cash is king.
That is, as it says, cash is king. You give money to people, they will vote for you. Maybe you give 10,000, not much, 20, not much. But when you give 1 million to a person, he will turn around and bash his own party. You see, this is the way that he wants to do.
Are we in a crisis too? Is this nation in a crisis now?
Well, we are in a very critical stage where the economy is going down, politics is bad, racialism is mounting, and the government is using money to buy people. You know, you give BRIM, you give all kinds of money to people. That is wrong.
Based on Tun's response just now, he said the country is in a critical situation. Don't you think it is already time for you to, you have done it in the past and suffered the consequences of it. Don't you think it is time for you to step up and ask Najib to step down?
Well, I don't think I need to say it. There's so many people have said it again. But the most important part is how to resolve this issue, because it has been, of course, dragging on for some time. I know some issues need time to be resolved. He asked for time to resolve one MDB. He needs time to manage some other issues of the nation. But as you said just now, there are problems of concern. So the question is up to the Prime Minister. I think he's a smart man. He understands what the situation is. He understands and hears the voice of the people. I hope so. So it is up to him to consider what best that he should do for the sake of the nation.
What about granting him a safe passage? That suggestion, will it?
I don't think there's a right platform to say anything about that.
Will it make it
By
easier?
air or by boat? By air or by boat?
Safe passage.
Shafi, do you share your sentiments on this? The
Well, I
state
think
of
what
our
is,
country.
what is important now, I think one of the fundamental issues that the country is facing now is the trust and confidence. Ini yang bangkit kalau kita lihat dari segi keyakinan. Bukan hanya rakyat, bahkan juga masyarakat luar tentang kepercayaan dan keyakinan dan kehadiran, the mere presence there in support of this press release with regard to the law, upholding the law. And as rightly mentioned by Tun just now, with regard to the economy, you can imagine now, you know, how much is the ringgit and how much is our revenue coming in, not only from GST, tax and other stuff coming from oil. And I'm very concerned about that. You know, the bread and butter issues on the ground, being the former Minister of Rural, I know it's one of the most important issues, which is tackling them, their survival. So these are the issues that we are questioning now, upholding that. But it leads down to the question of leadership. You know, we must have a clear cut where the country is going. You know, we have raised our voice, our opinion, not only in the cabinet, outside, inside. You know, but nothing has been done. Instead, we have not been included in the cabinet. But that doesn't matter to us. You know, whether we are in the cabinet, we are outside the cabinet. What is important now, the country, the people at large.
Can I draw your attention to this statement by the rulers? Zahid has responded by talking about the division of power in the government. I would like to ask to Zali to explain what that division of power means.
Separation of power.
Well, I'm no expert on this, about the separation of powers. when you talk of separation of powers, you go back to what the French jurists used to advocate, that there shouldn't be a conflict of function between one to the other, meaning the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. It does not involve those people who are in power, the rulers in this instance. But the rulers is never in the equation. It is always a conflict between the executive and the judiciary, or the executive and the legislative. So that is what is meant by separation of powers. But in this instance, the rulers have come forward. I think it's very wise of them to come forward with this kind of intervention to provide sound advice to the people concerned, so that this impasse that we are faced with should be resolved in a manner that will help the people. I think the country is going through a difficult period, especially economically, and I think the rulers are worried about it.
I must explain a little bit. The whole scenario is easy for the opposition and for the group of us here. In our case, we want Najib out, but we want UMNO and Barisan to win. If we want UMNO and Barisan to lose, it's very easy to get Najib out. So the thing is, we want UMNO to win and to keep on leading the country with Barisan Nasional, but we just want to get rid of those who are causing the problem for the nation. Thank you.
Terima kasih.